Hi, it's Marcy again with another little video segment on food safety. I hope you enjoy it. In this section of the course, Sung will discuss the chemical sanitizing process. He'll explain the difference in concentrations and time requirements for various chemical sanitizers. First, you'll talk about the automatic or mechanical dishwashers, including the stationary kind and the conveyor type, and then the dual temperature type. Finally, he'll give you some tips on checking your dishwashing machines. Then he'll finish up with the information on manual dishwashing, when 2-compartment sinks are allowed and when 3-compartment sinks must be used.
All right, now let's look at the chemical sanitization procedures. In chemical sanitization, in an automatic machine, okay, or as the FDA likes to call it, the mechanical dish machine, first thing we're going to do when the dirty dishes come in, we are going to pre-scrape, get rid of all the food. We're going to take a sprayer to spray off as much food particle as we can. Then we're going to rack it into the rack, and this is going to slide into the machine. The machine has the spray arms on the top and bottom. Those should be checked every day by the dishwashing person, the staff member, to make sure all the sprayers are working properly, that none of them are clogged. Because if they're clogged, the water's not coming out at the right pressure and the chemicals are not being delivered appropriately. And also, in addition to that, they should be checking the containers of their soap, pre-rinse, and their sanitizer chemicals to make sure that they have adequate amounts and that the chemicals are flowing through the lines appropriately. Okay. In addition to that, before they run the first rack of dishes, they should have the machine already warmed up and pre-run, so the water is already coming out very hot. Otherwise, the first couple racks are not getting sanitized properly. So, assuming he has done all that, in a chemical machine, the final temperature should be between 125 to 140 degrees. You do not want it getting too excessively high, say above 160 degrees, because it can start breaking down chemicals. So for a chlorine sanitizer, the minimum requirement is 50 parts per million. And at 50 parts per million, 7 seconds of exposure time for the sanitization step, and the water temperature is between 75 to 100 degrees. As a dishwasher, they should know how to check this, and one of the easiest ways to do that is when the machine stops. As soon as it stops, you open it up, you take one of the test strip papers, put it into the water solution down there, and check it against your chart. Okay, because the last step, the water was a sanitizing step, so that's the concentration that'll show. Another way you can do it is to do it with a higher concentration, 100 parts per million. It would be the same exposure time on the machine, 7 seconds. However, then we can use a lower temperature, only 55 degrees Fahrenheit, which basically means cold water. Okay? This is only for automated machine according to the FDA. If we're using iodine, the minimum requirement is 12.5 parts per million at 30 seconds exposure, 68 degrees Fahrenheit, pretty much cold water again. And then finally, quaternary ammonium. Quaternary ammonium, please note, gets a much higher concentration, 200 parts per million, 30 seconds exposure time, 75 degrees Fahrenheit, minimum requirement. So we see that both iodine and quaternary ammonium take a little longer, which means your machine cycle per cycle will be a little longer than the chlorine type. I personally prefer the chlorine type machines, but that's just a matter of preference. The other thing about the quaternary ammonium machine is that they're a little bit more affected by the hardness of the water. So depending on the region you're at, if the water has more than 500 milligrams per liter in terms of hardness, then quaternary ammonium would not be a good choice for your sanitization process. Now let's look at the chemical sanitizing as required for a manual 3-compartment sink. In a 3-compartment sink, the temperature of the waters will vary. The cleaning with the soap, there's a minimum temperature for that as required. The health inspector comes in, when they see that set up, they will want to check the temperature of the first compartment where the soap is. For the cleaning, the minimum requirement for that temperature is 110 degrees Fahrenheit, 110 degrees Fahrenheit is considered to be warm water. 110 degrees Fahrenheit, though if you touch it with your bare skin, is a little bit more than warm. It's pretty hot. But anyway, that's the minimum requirement for the washing of the dishes there. And again, you'd want to have gloves, because if you're using that water all day long, the dishwasher, their hands are going to get damaged. Okay, so you have the dishes coming in. You're going to scrape off all the food. It goes into the 110 degrees with the dishwashing soap. They're going to wash. Then they're going to rinse. The center compartment is for rinsing, nothing but just clean water there. That can be lukewarm. All they're doing is rinsing off the soap. Then finally it goes into the third compartment, and the third compartment is where we would have all the chemical sanitizers set up. Depending on the sanitizer we're using, it would be set up with the chlorine, the iodine, or the quaternary ammonium. In many restaurant operations, iodine is not a popular alternative because of the color it leaves. So most facilities are using either the chlorine or the quaternary ammonium. For chlorine, the minimum requirement, as per FDA, 50 parts per million, 1 minute of soaking time, 70 to 75 degrees. So you notice that in a manual system, even though it's the same concentration of 50 parts per million, the amount of time we have to expose it to soaking is much longer. Not 7 seconds, but 1 minute. And the reason for that is because in an automated machine, you have lots of pressure and agitation to get everything, but it's just sitting there. So in that case, we need 1 minute soaking time, then we take it out to let it air dry. Now, if we want to go with a higher concentration, say 100 parts per million for the chlorine, then we can minimize that time to 30 seconds. And then the temperature of the water does not have to be quite as high, just 55, 60 degrees. Many states, California for example, the health inspectors want all food operations to have the 100 parts per million, because they know that the way Californians are, they're not going to wait around for a minute for anything, so they're just going to rush through it. So they say, okay, if you're going to rush through it, use the higher concentration so you can rush through it a little faster. Okay, so that's for chlorine. If you do choose to use iodine, minimum requirement, 12.5 parts per million, 1 minute of soaking time. And with iodine, you generally go by the color. And then quaternary ammonium, 200 parts per million, just like with the automated machine, 1 minute of soaking time at 75 degrees Fahrenheit. And don't forget, quaternary ammonium most affected by the hardness of the water. So please take a moment as you go through this section, stop at each section, memorize the concentrations, the temperatures, and the different exposure times. As far as the test kits, how do you know which test kit to use? If you use chlorine-based sanitizer, here's a picture of the test kit you would use. If you use quaternary ammonium, here's a picture of the test kit you would use. If you look at the two, you'll notice that the chlorine-based test kits are on more of a gray color scale, whereas the quaternary ammonium test kits have more of a rainbow color scale. So that's a very easy way to identify it. Some of us at our operations use chlorine for the manual system and then quaternary ammonium for the automatic, or vice versa. So don't assume that you're using the same sanitizer for both systems. Okay? So if you do have both manual as well as the automatic machines you're using, please make sure that the dishwashing staff is aware of the sanitizers they're using and setting it up correctly. I remember going through a facility I was inspecting, and they were using, first thing I checked to see the bottle real, without even telling the guy, I'm already looking to see what kind of sanitizer they're using, so I'm aware of what they're using. They're using quaternary ammonium, and I see the sanitizing solution is so pink it almost looks like pink lemonade. Let me tell you, if your sanitizer solution has that much color, you already know that the concentration is way off the charts. So I asked him what concentration he has it at, and he said he's got it at the right place. And he didn't know the concentration requirement. Then we took the test paper and he checked it, and it only goes to 500 parts per million, and it's off the chart. It's like, this is a way you get a lot of people sick. Okay, so please make sure that you're employees know what they're doing.
AAA Food Handler Training School offers programs for basic food handlers, certified professional food safety managers, convenience store food safety managers, grocery store food safety managers, as well as certified food safety HACCP managers, which prepare you to take and pass ANSI-approved exams from the National Registry of Food Safety Professionals, ServSafe, and Prometric. By working with over 2,500 testing centers throughout the United States, we can easily schedule your exam at a date and time that is convenient to you. Also, please visit our website, www.aaafoodhandler.com, for interesting newsletters, articles, and products regarding the food service industry. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to our channel and click the like button to help us promote this knowledge. To find all of our YouTube videos, search for AAA Food Handler Training School and then click the result that has the light blue logo for AAA Food Handler Training School. When the next screen comes up, click Videos, and then you'll see all of the videos we have available. Thank you.